I Heart You by Daniel Johnson. Copyright 2020 by Renaissance.
I love you so much, Andre,
She said, looking into his eyes. Then the power of the moment overcame them both, and they kissed. It was a small, light kiss, like a butterfly touching a flower, then fluttering back into the sky. Cautiously, Andre kissed her again, this time a little longer. As the passion of repressed desire flooded into every part of their bodies and clouded their minds, they embraced firmly and kissed deeply and passionately. They continued for a long time, lost in this new entity they created from their combined love. Then slowly and softly they broke away, to stare into each other's eyes, still holding the connection that they once had shared through touch.
"I'm sorry, my dearest,"
Andre said.
"I don't know what came over me."
don't be sorry, dearest.
She said.
The same thing came over me.
Well, now, how will I ever find the correct moment to build up the correct confidence to ask you something so very important?
Oh, Andre.
She said. They kissed and embraced a long time, and finally Andre pulled away.
"I'm sorry, my dearest Elizabeth.
He said.
I fear if I continue this much longer, I will lose what little self-control I have left, and will be overcome by desire."
Beth looked at him longingly, but remembered that she did not want to spoil this thing by rushing it. This was true love. It was very special, and it needed to be nurtured with patience. She wanted it to be perfect, the perfect romance in a perfect world. They slowly parted, and the 18th century composure bred into every gentleman and lady of the era took back control over the scene.
"What is this place?"
Andre said, looking around, wondering. Beth looked at him a few moments, studying him, but said nothing. He noticed her and quickly said,
I know it's the real world portal, but I never thought it would be so wondrous."
She looked at him again, a little annoyed, but not wanting to break the serenity of the moment.
Come with me.
She said, grabbing his hand. In a moment, the room melted away, and they were in a white gazebo on a tall hill that overlooked an open sea. Andre looked around, bewildered.
I often come here when I want to think.
She said. Andre looked around in wonder.
"What is this? How did you do that?" he asked.
Beth looked at him a little annoyed, but regained her composure.
It's okay, Andre. You can drop the act.
Andre began to get nervous. What was she talking about? The last time she was like this, they almost got into a fight. She looked at him intently.
I brought you to my most special place.
She said.
This is where I go to be really myself.
She looked deeply into his eyes.
Do you have a special place?
She asked.
Will you take me to your special place?
Panic struck him as he searched his mind for the correct answer, the one she wanted to hear.
"You are my favorite place, dearest,"
he said finally. She smiled and gripped his hand.
I brought you here because I want to show you who I really am. I want to show you my real face, my real body. But I'm nervous as hell. I'm terrified that if you see me, the real me, you'll run away.
He pulled her slightly closer.
"Oh, Elizabeth, I will always love you, no matter what you have to hide."
I know, but I'm still terrified.
She said.
Well, here goes.
She said, stepping away and closing her eyes. The slender form of Elizabeth melted away and was replaced with the round shape of Bethany. She looked at him with vulnerable, expectant eyes. He looked back, unable to hide his shock.
"What is going on?" he thought. "What is this sorcery?"
he said. His face became rigid and angered.
"Foul sorceress,"
he said.
"what have you done with my Elizabeth?"
Beth's mouth began to tremor slightly.
"You bring her back directly."
he said, glaring at Bethany.
"You bring my Elizabeth back this moment."
A tear began to roll down Bethany's right cheek. Andre undid his collar and reached around his neck.
He pulled out his silver St. Christopher's medal and held it up. "Be thee gone, foul demon,"
he said. Beth was shaking slightly now, and tears streamed down her cheek.
"Get thee behind me, Satan,"
he said. Beth's image began to fade in front of Andre. In an instant, she was gone. Andre now stood alone, looking into the empty space.
"Elizabeth? Elizabeth?"
he said weakly. Beth pulled off the headset and began sobbing in the dim blue light of the display.
Men.
she said.
They're all the same no matter which century.
She continued to weep bitterly. Andre.
You have been listening to I Heart You by Daniel Johnson. Copyright 2020 by Renaissance Productions. For this and other writings, go to genesis2112.com or search Sue Lee Daniel Johnson on Kindle, iBooks, or Barnes & Noble.